Sources have told me that the Charlotte Hornets have traded Kobe Bryant to the Lakers.
That's what happened on draft night. And he goes, well, it's a good thing we're trading you because we couldn't have used you anyway. Okay. All right.
What if Kobe Bryant was never traded to the Lakers? Could he win 5 championships just like real life? Using 2K, we're going to get a glimpse of what could have happened, starting off in the 1996-97 season, where at 18 years old and as the league's youngest player, Kobe already would be averaging 16 points per game. But his successful rookie campaign wouldn't come without some problems. Now playing in one of the NBA's smallest markets instead of Los Angeles, Kobe would be getting overlooked, losing out on the Rookie of the Year award to Allen Iverson, who at the moment is seen as the prize from the 1996 draft. However, before we move on to Kobe's second season, we do have to mention that the results of every season are going to be completely random. So while the Bulls would be winning the 97 championship just like real life, they would be taking down a completely different opponent. And the changes aren't just limited to who's going to win the title each year, as a bunch of Kobe's rivals will also be drafted to different teams. But before we go into detail about the other teams in the league, year 2 would be underway for Kobe, and it would be an eventful one, averaging over 20 points per game for the first time and making the All-Star team in the process. However, for a second straight year, Charlotte would miss the playoffs, and the Chicago Bulls would be winning the title instead. With 6 championships at this moment, Jordan's the greatest of all time and the gold standard that Kobe will be chasing. If he ever wants to see similar success, just like Mike, he'll need a sidekick of his own.
With the 3rd pick in the 1998 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Dirk Nowitzki from Würzburg, Germany.
And with some draft luck, Kobe has a fantastic co-star starting in the 98-99 season. And unlike his real-life partnership with Shaq, it provides Kobe the opportunity to be the leader of the team as the more experienced player. However, despite this promising duo, the Hornets would miss the playoffs as the 9 seed. And that would be especially troubling for Kobe, as his peers would be making some deep postseason runs.
Welcome everyone to the 1999 NBA Finals. The Timberwolves led by 22-year-old Kevin Garnett and the 76ers led by the 23-year-old Allen Iverson will battle it out for their first championship.
And in the end, to close out the 1999 season, the Timberwolves would be winning the title. It's safe to say that Kobe being on the Hornets has resulted in him going under the radar, making the 2000 season his most important by far. With the extra motivation from being overlooked, Kobe would average career highs in every category for a second-place MVP finish. Plus, with the help of a second-year Dirk Nowitzki, the Hornets would be making it into the postseason for the first time as the number 6 seed. But while that would suggest that they're an underdog, they would immediately prove they belong, defeating the Washington Wizards in a best-of-5 in round 1 and sweeping the Toronto Raptors in 4 in round 2, setting himself up for a battle in the Eastern Conference Finals against the league MVP.
The 2000 Eastern Conference Finals is set. The Philadelphia 76ers and Allen Iverson are trying to return to their second straight finals, while the Charlotte Hornets and Kobe Bryant look to continue their magical postseason run and pull off another underdog victory.
But it wouldn't take long for Kobe to prove that he should not have been overlooked all this time. After the series would start off 2-2, he would lead the Hornets to a 3-2 lead, winning Game 5 on the road. But despite being 1 game away from the franchise's first ever finals appearance, they would fold at home in the series' 6th game, and the MVP would be able to tie it up to force a winner-go-home Game 7. One that would also be a battle between big market and small 1996 draftees, and the NBA's most popular player up against an underdog, leading us into a tie game, 110-110, with about 2 minutes left. There's a very interesting team representing the West in the finals, but before we get into that, one of these 2 teams has to advance. Kobe calling for it in the post, guarded by Jerry Stackhouse, to drop step, the pump fake, the pivot, the layup is off. Rebounded by Philly, pushing it on the break. Allen Iverson's gonna launch a 3, and that one is also no good. A lid on the basket for both teams with a trip to the finals on the line. Kobe driving left into the paint, the spin move, another series of fakes, the fadeaway jumper gives Charlotte a 2-point lead. Iverson walking it up, the league MVP after averaging 32 in the regular season. Good defense by Bryant, has him out 30 feet from the basket, 10 seconds on the shot clock. Iverson with the spin, driving left at the elbow. Good defense by Kobe, 5 seconds left, the pivot from Iverson. The layup is in, we're all tied up. A scoring duel, as you can see, Kobe with 36, Iverson with 28. Down the stretch, both aggressive getting to the basket. Good defense by Iverson despite the height mismatch. The pass back to Kobe. 7 seconds left. Kobe with the left. It's no good. Rolls off the rim. Philly with a chance to take the lead. Iverson. Now with the switch. Guarded by Nowitzki. Into the paint. He's fouled. Both guards with a lot of usage down the stretch. The first free throw is off. Rattles in and out. Iverson with a chance. He misses both. The rebound by Dirk. He's going to push it on the break. Pass it over to Glenn Rice. 1:06 left and a tie game. Those free throws could be costly. Kobe, guarded by Stackhouse, into the paint, gives Charlotte the lead again. Can Iverson redeem himself? Philly's gonna call a timeout. 54 seconds left. They're going to pass it into Iverson. Kobe's right there, and he gets the stop. Charlotte with a chance to advance to their first ever NBA Finals. Kobe comes off the screen on the left. The pass over to Rice on the right. It's a 5-point game. 36 seconds left. It's all gone downhill for the 76ers. The pass over to Iverson at the free throw line. The layup is good, keeping them in it. Philly presumably about a foul. Kobe trying to get it on the inbound. It's almost thrown away. It's stolen by the MVP. Philly's going to call a timeout out of the scramble. 31.8. Can tie it with a 3. They don't necessarily have to go for it. Iverson clearing out. Guarded by Kobe, into the paint, the pivot again, the layup. Kobe gets another stop, gets the rebound, and is fouled. And a few free throws and possessions later, the Hornets would stun the basketball world with a Game 7 road win to advance to their first finals in franchise history, with Kobe winning the duel between the two best guards in the NBA. But the job's not finished. He'd next be heading out west for the finals against the Seattle Supersonics, who've kept Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp well into their 30s, while also bridging the gap into their next era with their draft pick from a couple years ago, Paul Pierce. However, he's only in year 2. Kobe's in his 4th. And in 5 games, the Hornets would be beating the odds and winning their first championship ever. Instead of Kobe and Shaq, it's Kobe and Dirk. And at only age 21, he's a first-time Finals MVP. Stark contrast compared to real life, as he didn't win said award until he was 30.
For the first time since 1996, Allen Iverson no longer has the NBA's highest-selling jersey.
Kobe Bryant was recently voted as the NBA's top guard.
When I watch Allen Iverson, I don't think he has it.
And the Sixers hold on and advance to the conference finals.
1 year after experiencing the thrill of a championship, Kobe and Dirk's Hornets would lose round 2 against Iverson's Sixers. And while it would be an entirely different team winning the title about a month later, it's created an interesting trade-off in terms of Kobe's legacy. He's got the Finals MVP, but without Shaq, he's not going back-to-back. But Kobe's potential toughest competition is still a couple years away from even entering the league. And while he already has his hands full with Iverson, many other stars have been drafted to new locations in the background. And it's inevitable that other teams and stars will eventually get in Kobe's way. However, 2002 would be the Mamba's best season to date. It wouldn't be particularly close, as he'd be winning his first MVP at just age 24. And at the moment, not only is he peaking, but the team as a whole. They'd win 58 games on the year as a number 2 seed, on their way to defeating the Sixers in their 3rd meetup in round 1, last year's champion New Jersey Nets in round 2, and the Washington Wizards in the Eastern Conference Finals, setting Kobe and Dirk up to potentially win their 2nd title. And the Charlotte Hornets would be going into Phoenix to win their 2nd title with their duo, which may be more impressive than their first, considering they took down 2 future Hall of Famers in the process, Steve Nash and Jason Kidd. But what if I told you that despite being on top of the basketball world, Kobe would still find himself with something to prove?
Well, simply put, Dan, LeBron James is the best high school basketball player I have ever seen. And I think as a 17-year-old, he's better than Kobe Bryant was at the same age.
At this very moment, Kobe's got plenty of accolades under his belt and plenty of time to win more. But with respected analysts already crowning a high school senior as the new king, what does his future have in store? Well, for the present, he'd be moving down south, as the Charlotte Hornets would be relocating to New Orleans. And just to avoid any future confusion, in real life during this time, they stayed as a part of the Eastern Conference. So naturally, the Iverson-Kobe rivalry can continue and enter its 3rd chapter. With these two firmly in their primes as MVP contenders every year, we'd have a highly competitive series that would end after 6, with Iverson getting past Kobe, now giving him a 2-1 all-time record over him. And he would eventually make it to the finals, where he'd not only challenge 1998 draftee Vince Carter in the Denver Nuggets, but he'd eventually win, closing out the 2003 season with his first ever championship.
With the first pick in the 2003 NBA draft,
you will most certainly be the most scrutinized rookie in the history of the NBA.
the Dallas Mavericks select LeBron James.
As we enter the 2003-04 season, a lot of stars have been drafted to different teams in the background. Paul Pierce is still a Seattle Sonic, Tim Duncan is a Warrior, Yao Ming is a Spur, Tracy McGrady is a Cavs, and of course there's both Kobe and Dirk in Charlotte who have been the most notable. But with LeBron ironically going to the Mavs, the league could eventually get shaken up. The franchise has struggled for years, and so has the Western Conference, which in this universe has been vastly inferior to the East. Most of the championships have been heading that way, and as a result, all-time legends such as Shaquille O'Neal are still ringless, despite winning a whopping 4 MVPs in the background.
I am done with this man. You're not going to win with him. His body language, he's defeated, and it has contagious effect. It's like a virus, because every postseason, this is what he does.
But despite having his fair share of doubters, at age 31, he'd win his first title, defeating Tracy McGrady and the Cavs in the process with a different supporting cast than real life. And as far as that previously mentioned imbalance between conferences goes, let's just say the 2005 season would flip it the other way. As back in Charlotte, the NBA would be creating the Charlotte Bobcats, thus moving Kobe and Dirk's Hornets to the West. And that would create a very interesting conference finals as the reigning champion Lakers would run into said Hornets, the #1 versus #2 seeds. The first ever postseason matchup between Kobe and Shaq, with the Lakers taking Game 1 at home. But nobody should be surprised at a Kobe Bryant win in the Staples Center, and in his New Jersey, he'd take Game 2. Then following it up with a couple more wins back in New Orleans to step into a 3-1 lead. And this surge of momentum would throw the Lakers into disarray, as late in Game 5 with the game hanging in the balance, they would make a crucial mistake. He's guarded by Kobe, he's calling for it down low, he gets it. Dirk's coming over with the double, it's batted around, picked up, and it would be followed up a few possessions later by another head scratcher. 0.9 second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Out of the timeout, LA, Fisher, he's gonna try to lob it to Shaq. And several free throws later, the New Orleans Hornets would eventually be winning this game to move on to the NBA Finals. While Shaq does have more in terms of regular season accolades with 4 MVPs to Kobe's 2, it's now Bryant looking for championship #3, facing a very familiar opponent.
Allen Iverson was just really, he was really tough to figure out.
He gave me that push. I gave it to him.
The AI was from opening tip to the end. I mean, this guy was just going.
He knew who I was. I know who he is.
And in what's going to be their last ever postseason matchup, it would be Kobe winning his 3rd title. Both he and Iverson may have had the greatest guard rivalry in the history of the NBA. And these are also the 2 best candidates to break the all-time scoring record. So keep that in the back of your mind as we kick off the 2006 season, which would be very interesting for a few particular reasons. In the most recent 2005 draft class, Chris Paul would be going #1 overall to the Toronto Raptors. And he might be a sign that the NBA's next generation of stars are on their way. Because out in Dallas, LeBron James would not only win Defensive Player of the Year, but MVP as well. And with he and Kobe in the same conference, it's inevitable they'll cross paths one day, presumably as each other's toughest competition.
The guy that always gave me the most problems actually was Tracy McGrady.
But before he ever deals with LeBron, in the 2006 finals, he would be up against T-Mac. And just like his previous battles with Iverson, it would be him and Kobe scoring from everywhere on the floor. But the real X factor in not just the series, but Kobe's career would be Dirk Nowitzki, who's not just a great player, but he's also stayed with Kobe unlike Shaq, giving the 2 long-term sustained success, and eventually a 4-1 finals win to give them both 4 in total. However, just 1 calendar year after that title, the Hornets would be losing in the first round to Tim Duncan's Warriors. And there's a very unfortunate but simple reason as to why this happened. But before we get into that, a very interesting trend in the league would emerge. While not going deep in the playoffs, at age 23, LeBron had won his 2nd MVP. And in the finals, a 25-year-old Amari Stoudemire would have defeated a 25-year-old Dwayne Wade for the championship. The next generation of the NBA is on its way, and 2008 wouldn't be any easier for the Hornets as a whole. Because they'd win 50-plus games on the year, a very impressive total, but in the most brutal Western Conference ever, they'd only be the 7th seed. And for a second straight year, they'd be losing in the first round, this time to Yao Ming's Spurs. A 50-win season would get you to second place in the East, but in the West, there's just too many contenders. And with LeBron James out in Dallas, winning his third straight MVP,
LeBron James, in my estimation, may be the most dangerous professional athlete in the history of this country.
The Kobe-LeBron debate would very subtly begin. The only thing holding it back from going full force would be that the Mavs would actually lose to the Magic in the NBA Finals, and Dwayne Wade would be winning the title instead. And this would still be a very interesting outcome, as in 2009, he and the Magic would be going back-to-back. Not only is Kobe at the crossroads of a potential LeBron debate, but another shooting guard has won 2 consecutive titles a mere 5 years into his career. So after those rough few years, Kobe and Dirk would be turning 31 for the 2010 season. And in the background, the past few years have introduced plenty of future stars and MVP-level talents to the league. If New Orleans is ever going to get back to the top, it has to be soon, as there's not much time. But there's always some give and take, as while they'd have their best season in years finishing as a number 4 seed, they'd run into the 1-seeded Mavericks in the second round, led by LeBron, who would take Game 1. And even though it would be followed up by a Charlotte win in Game 2, LeBron and his sidekick Joe Johnson would rattle off 3 straight wins to finish the job, extending New Orleans' title drought to 4 years. But this would only be the start to a legacy-changing postseason, as not only has he sent Kobe and Dirk home, but he would be heading on to the finals to face a stacked Milwaukee Bucks team that has Carmelo Anthony, Steve Nash, and Manu Ginobili. And yet, LeBron and Joe Johnson would outduel all 3 and eventually win the title. At age 25, LeBron has accomplished a lot and has plenty of time to continue. Which is a stark contrast from Kobe, as while he's still in his prime, he's on the back end, now turning 32 years old. So with those differences in mind, let's fast forward to the 2011 playoffs, where Kobe would find himself in the same arena as last year. Another 1 versus 4 matchup against Dallas, although this time it would yield very different results. After the first 3 games, New Orleans would find themselves down 2-1, but they'd make the comeback and take the next couple to go up 3-2. However, they'd subsequently blow that lead in the following game, despite being at home, allowing LeBron and Joe Johnson to force Game 7. And that's always a dangerous situation, but especially so with 2 legends at Kobe and LeBron's caliber facing off. And even though it's only the second round, it may be as important as a finals. With 4 minutes to play, New Orleans would be up by 2, and with a trip to the conference finals on the line, the ending to Game 7 could very well go either way. 4 minutes left, Game 7 of the second round. J.R. Smith, a new addition with the ball. He's going to shoot a 3 over LeBron and miss it. A wild shot from J.R. Smith in his first season with the team. LeBron going all the way to the basket. Dirk gets the block, keeps it in bounds. He's going to push it on the break. Dirk Nowitzki with the spin, the kick out to J.R. It's good. 5-point lead for New Orleans. 3:35 left. Joe Johnson walking up the court, sizing up Kobe. 13 seconds on the shot clock. They clear out for him. The hop step into the lane. The contest. It's batted around. Rebounded by Jason Collins. The pass up to Kobe on the break. He's guarded by Aaron Brooks. Pass over to Rodney Stuckey. Looks like it's going to get swung over to Dirk, over to JR, and they're about to feed Kobe down low. They're sending a double team from the right corner. The left-handed hook shot is no good. Joe Johnson with the rebound. Behind the back dribble. Back to Joe. Guarded by Kobe. The backdoor cut by Brooks. And the layup is in to cut it back down to 3. No shot attempts yet from Kobe and LeBron down the stretch in the last few minutes. Blocked at the rim. Emeka Okafor with the defensive stop. Brooks with the pass over to Joe Johnson. LeBron standing in the right corner, not involved down the stretch. The kick out, wide open for 3. We're all tied up. Kobe's gonna bring it up again. 2:16 remaining. They clear out for him. No other actions. A spin move. Driving to his right hand. The pump fake. Over to Stuckey. He's going to kick it back out to Kobe with 5 seconds on the clock. He gets all the way to the basket. 2-point lead for New Orleans with 2 minutes remaining. The pass over to Joe Johnson again. LeBron not involved down the stretch. Looks like Joe Johnson's looking for his shot. The whole right side of the floor is open. The and-one dribble move. The pass down to Yee. Guarded by Dirk. Dirk with another defensive play. Dallas struggling on offense down the stretch. At our most crucial juncture, Kobe with 2 pump fakes. The kick out. The pass over to Dirk. The ball is swung around. Kobe's going to come off a screen. Gets his right hand again. Another dunk. It's a 4-point lead for New Orleans. LeBron has been quiet down the stretch. 1:14. Guarded by J.R. Smith. He's going to step back for three and miss it. Rebounded by Bryant. New Orleans with a chance. J.R. Smith takes a three on the break, and it's blocked by James. One of the wildest shots you could take in that situation from a very fitting person. If anybody was going to take that, it was going to be JR. Kobe gets the ball again. 11 seconds on the shot clock. The crossover to his right. 3 straight dunks.
As Kobe looks over at Doug Collins and said, "This guy cannot guard me."
The odds are stacked against the one-seeded Mavericks. 52 seconds remaining. Down by 6. 2-possession game. LeBron gets the screen from Okafor. He's going to fake the three. The pass back on the wing. Dallas with some bad spacing. Aaron Brooks, he's going to drive into the lane. He's going to put up a floater and make it. Passing to Kobe. Pass over to Stuckey. Dallas in a full-court press. Stuckey's going to launch. Rodney Stuckey with a crazy shot. Super high risk. Why anyone would ever shoot the ball in that situation, I have no idea. 27.7 left. Dallas going to need a miracle. The passing to Joe Johnson. LeBron has been quiet down the stretch. A pump fake. He's going to step it back for three and misses another one. And Dallas wouldn't even bother fouling. This one is over. The Hornets would be advancing to the Western Conference Finals while pulling off the upset. Kobe with 33, 7, and 7. Rodney Stuckey with 21, including that crazy shot at the end. Could have ended badly if he missed it. Dirk with 17 and 10. Joe Johnson and LeBron James not really at their best with the series on the line. And after sweeping the Utah Jazz in the following round, New Orleans would be making it to the finals against the Chicago Bulls, led by a fifth-year Kevin Durant, second-year DeMar DeRozan, and third-year Kyle Lowry. However, if you add up all their years of experience, it wouldn't come close to the 30 between Kobe and Dirk. And it's pretty clear how this one is going to end. Barring some kind of miracle, New Orleans is going to win Game 5 and the series. Over to Kobe. He's going to pull up, taking a long 2.
7 to shoot. Nowitzki drives with it underneath. Lefty layup, banks it in.
Bryant from way downtown. Bang! Kobe Bryant again!
And yet again, he and Dirk would be winning another championship, giving them 5 without losing in the finals once. 15 years after Jordan's last title, his protege would be finishing the job in his building. And for one last time, the league would be running through New Orleans. The next few seasons would be dominated by other young teams and players building brand new legacies compared to real life. However, Kobe's final few years in the NBA would still be very productive, not just surpassing Kareem's 38,387 points, but the 42,158 scored by Allen Iverson, putting these two rivals and 1996 draftees at a comfortable 1-2 all time. Kobe would then play an extra year compared to real life, retiring after the 2017 season. And according to 2K, this is what could have happened if he was never traded to the Lakers.